You're talking sports. It's the matchup. Mickey Hoover, Zizzy, yo, we cutting it up. Just a couple athletic enthusiasts. You know what it is. The Mickey Zizzy Podcast. Season 3, episode 39. And March Madness is prime time, baby. Yes, sir. Here for another week after missing one. But we're back again with my main man, Mickey Hines. And it's good to be back once again. This is the Mickey Zizzy Podcast brought to you by Pinnacle Supplementation. Make sure to reach your Pinnacle. Go ahead and check out pinnaclesup.com for all of your fitness and wellness needs. And also check out G43 on YouTube. That is G3, not the number, the word 4, F-O-R, G43 on YouTube. Follow our man Grant Anderson, the OBL extraordinaire, pickup court globetrotter, secret sauce shooter, and Smucker's smack talker. We might have to add more. I don't know. It's getting long. You know what it is. I'm Zizzy. Let's have at it, Mickey. What's going on, man?
My bracket garbage.
I think it's just broken.
Absolute garbage.
I'll tell you what. The fact I'm actually not like, other than the fact that the bracket is messed up, I'm more impressed with how you just hit, like how perfectly you hit that across the roof.
Thank you.
Let's go.
No, my bracket was awful. I did say that this year was gonna be wonky. No 1 seeds, no 2 seeds, right? We called it here on the podcast. We couldn't convince ourselves to do it, and a 15 seed went far, Princeton. But guess what? Yeah. It was the team that the complete opposite. I said that Colgate would go far, and I was the complete wrong, like complete other side. Texas.
I was over here talking about Drake.
Right? Drake Texas went far, and Arizona lost first round. Like at that point, I'm like, this is dumb. I hate my life. Like, this is stupid. Why am I even watching sports? Right? I actually was so upset. But obviously, it's going to be a fun, intense episode. Talking all March Madness, just breaking it down. A March Madness special. Read it and weep it here. But first, as you all know, we got to start this off with Person of the Week, highlighting those people who need to be highlighted.
Yeah, well, Person of the Week, we'll just roll into it. We'll get it going. My Person of the Week is going to be Scott Depergola. What's going on, my guy? Missed the fun day with the boys this weekend. He came out. He lives in Orlando, so it's like a 45-minute drive. We don't always get to see each other, but he came out to the house, ended up going out to the beach with my roomies. I was down south trying to play in a flag football game, so I wasn't able to make that, but we caught up at the tail end when they came back to the house. And it was just good to catch up with him, get to see him a few times, gonna plan a few things in the future before he heads out for his new job over in Tampa. So I just want to shout him out. He's been listening to the podcast recently. He loves it. So I want to make sure you're a part of it here, bud. Let's get you on.
All right. Say his name again.
Scott Depergola.
Scott. Awesome Person of the Week there. Highlighting those. All righty. So going on, probably going to break the rules per usual here on Person of the Week. I really want to shout out Caitlin Clark, 40-point triple-double. I know we'll dabble in the women's. But like just a quick shout out, obviously, because that's incredible. But my person/people of the week are actually going to go to my students. They put on an event, BWB. It's like their wiffle ball league, and they had the teachers play against them, right? They had a whole tournament. They had a trophy. Their YouTube is elite, right? It had the pics of the commentators. They have different camera angles. And, dude, it was absolutely electric. They asked me to shout them out. Of course I would. I can't believe I forgot to do it. But it was so cool. They had introductions for us, interviews. They had a home run derby in the middle of it.
How many dingers? How many dingers we talking?
One kid hit 11 in 30 seconds.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yo, is he on the juice? Is he on the juice? I'm talking juicy juice.
No, but it's just really cool how a community can get together just to watch some old teachers play some students in wiffle ball, and the community that Williamsburg does bring around. So it's really cool to highlight those who, like I said, who need to be highlighted. It was such an awesome and fun thing to do on a Friday night. There was a lot of beef. I did strike out a few times. I did make some highlight plays, those slow-mo catching it one-handed in the outfield.
But they got you whiffing?
Yes, I know. Struck out.
Oh, come on.
once or twice. Got walked a lot. Got hit a few times, but elite base running in my eyes.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, still got the wheels. Still got the
Oh,
wheels.
of course. Gotta show them off. The turf they had like a turf thing and it did go out from under me. So I'm putting in a petition called the Turf Gate. Like I hit it and I went to take off and it slid out from under me. It was bogus. I was gonna run it out easy.
Yeah, they're trying to do everything they can to get the advantage against you, man. Like they know when you get up, it's just so quick, it's like spinning the tires. It's like you're gonna lose it.
No, 100%. No, it's awesome. Shout out them to all the students at Berg, especially those who hosted it. And then, also a quick shout out to you because the shirt finally came in.
Let's go! Yeah, everyone, we want to talk smack. He wants to talk smack, but no, we wanted to make sure that you got that. It looks good. Nice form. Okay, go get it, baby.
And while you're over here wearing a dog toy on your neck, but anyone who's only listening to the audio.
We're gonna get to that. Don't worry.
Sorry, I skipped.
There's reasons. There's methods to the madness.
All right, well, let's talk about that madness, that being March. Let's just start with the very beginning, and then we'll talk about who's still left in the tournament challenge, which it is one of the people are you. So I'm cheering you on. Go get it.
Let's go.
Go win that free pinnacle. But let's all talk about it. Let's talk about Princeton. I mean, you have to come out and talk to them and talk about them. And their shooting was awesome. They came, they rose to the occasion, Mr. Zizzy, and it was absolutely electric, even though they beat my team. And then Missouri, I felt like that was a good matchup in the next round. That was a good round for them. Yeah. Obviously, they ran into a good Creighton team, which it was somewhat close. You got to give them the benefit of the doubt, but they were the Cinderella story that everyone was looking for. And the one I just looked in the wrong direction to find because I knew a 15 seed would do that. And it just shows. And then we also got to talk about the other Cinderella story. But it just shows that basketball is such a team sport and it's anybody's night. You know what I'm saying? That's why March Madness is so special. You watch Princeton go win 2 games, you're like, oh my goodness. If they're in the Big Ten, they ain't getting third. They're in the SEC, they ain't doing that. But March Madness being as crazy as it is.
Yeah, and I mean, this is why March Madness is as great as it is, right? Because it is just one game, and it's any given night, and it's a one-game elimination tournament. Because when you talk about basketball in comparison to other sports, we obviously go and talk football a lot, like playoffs in the NFL or college football playoff or anything like that. It's one game. It's one game. But why? Because typically the game, just how it's played, the better team more often will come out on top. In basketball, it could be an off night shooting. It could be a team chemistry thing. It ball bounces so quickly the other way that you see them have these 7-game series and things throughout this game. And at the professional level, you take that away, it's pandemonium. And you're totally right when you're talking about you don't know which 15 seed it is. You don't know which underdog or Cinderella story it is, but there's going to be one. And Princeton just happened to draw the card this year. And obviously, like you said, coming out and absolutely stunning Arizona. Who cares? It doesn't matter if you win by 4, win by 1, win by a half a point on a controversial point. I don't care what happens. But to beat Arizona, which, I mean, I had going far, and I want to say winning, if not winning, but Final Four of both of my brackets, if not one of them at least. Everyone expects them to go out win that game. You never see that coming. But the last few years, if we are going to point out, it has happened more often than not. At least it's happened. I mean, we've had, the past 3 years, we've had teams that have come out and been literal Cinderella stories. So it's not surprising, but it is. And you just love to see it.
It is just so surprising. Arizona was such a good squad, and they just try to force stuff too much inside, and which was the right thing. They were shorter. They had that Omar was the taller guy inside. He was just not getting buckets, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do. Get tall. They force the miss. You box them out, and you go get the rebound. And rebounds equals rings. Yeah. And I will preach that to the day I die. And at the end all be all, Princeton took advantage of those situations. Now, Yank, let's transition to the other Cinderella story. Fairleigh Dickinson, right?
Only had happened once before, man.
Once before, and Purdue is now definitely a fraud. I've called it, and the thing that I got upset about this matchup was, remember, I kind of liked Purdue. I remember I was talking to people I really like Purdue, and then I saw them struggle in the Big Ten. I'm like, you know what? they've lost too many games that they should have won or proved their dominance. Freshman guards, etc., had to be out on them, right? And some people try to come at me sideways. Mr. Cheyenne Mino interview says, you thought they were going to win. No, I kept my receipts. I sent it to him. So first off, I do have those receipts, especially here on the podcast. But the crazy thing is we talk about how crazy March Madness is. Did you see the pictures of the two courts next to each other?
Which ones?
Of
I actually haven't seen
Dickinson's
the
and
pictures.
Purdue's. Well, it's
Oh,
Dickinson's
no, I
and
haven't.
Purdue's gyms. I'll have to pull it up here. And it's completely different. Dickinson's gym looks like it's smaller than Cornell's, right? It's a small, looks like a high school gym.
I mean,
And
yeah.
Purdue is this huge, huge, whatever you want to, gym. Sorry. Yeah. I'm trying to do two things at once here. So it was just electric. Everyone wanted to see it. I remember I was at an indoor football league game, and I'm checking. I'm like, oh my gosh, Purdue just lost. What? Like, I was completely blindsided. So
yeah, no, I mean, sitting at a housewarming party with a couple buddies and everything, and like everyone's outside, like, hey, come out here. I had to stop and be. I'm sorry, I have to witness this. I have to witness this happening. There's like 45 seconds left. If Purdue loses, this is just absolutely insane. But yeah, it just goes to show you what can happen. I mean, and they were a tough out. Rick wanted to say that it was a tough game still in the second round that they had played, correct?
Say that again. You skipped a beat.
Oh, no. Yeah, but I was saying, like, for Fairleigh Dickinson, they go out, they beat Purdue, and they stun the world, right? And then they go out, even if you want to continue in the second round, they play a tough game against a team that ends up eventually being in the Final Four. I mean,
yes,
it's not like they were slouches, man. I mean, the team that they lost to has beat everyone else so far. So I got to give them credit. It doesn't matter where you come from. Like you said, you're talking about the comparison of the gym size. We've heard of similar things before in the NCAA. Look at that, man. Look at that.
The seating crazy. Is incredible. I mean, like, it legit looks like a high school, like you in a movie.
Yeah,
like, slow motion.
Like I've been in those, man. I've been in those too.
But that's just, I mean, I know we're beating a dead horse here, but like that's the awesome part of March Madness. I've never heard of this university. And they go upset Purdue, who everyone knows, and that's why you got to have a full, complete team. And at the same time, like, just peaking at the right time. You want to be playing your best basketball in March. And Purdue it was not. They played great in the beginning of the year. Zach Edey still is an NBA caliber type of player of the year without a doubt, just because of stats and so on. But end all be all, two amazing Cinderella stories, which did come up short. Obviously, we were all rooting for it down the stretch. Some other big ones is, you know how bad my brackets were? I had San Diego State losing first round.
Yeah, I mean,
remember I was hyping up Charleston. I'm like, okay, why not?
I know, but we were talking about like certain teams being the ones that were going to be like the upset alerts, and I was sitting here saying that Miami, remember, they weren't going to be able to repeat the magic. They couldn't do anything like that. Yeah, they're in the Final Four, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy across the board.
But, I mean, the West, I did get all right in one of mine. Like the West, the very bottom.
Okay,
there's no upsets.
No, I was very, very nervous, especially in the first couple rounds. I mean, you have the top seeds dropping left and right. But if you want to talk about someone that wasn't dropping, and there's a reason why I have dog toys around my neck and I'm wearing dog hats. UConn Huskies, talk about the dogs, baby. Let's go. I am so hyped. I got the blue ball for it. Like, let's talk about it, everybody. For them to show up, I wanted to pick them as a team, like the team to watch. We talk about teams that are coming into the tournament, playing good basketball, hot at the right time. This was that team. And to see them go through that and while everything else in the world is crumbling around my bracket, to see UConn pull through and be there in this Final Four, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I am very excited to say that. Sorry, I couldn't hold it in anymore. The dog toy was kind of putting a rash on my neck. I didn't want it anymore. Okay, so we're here. I had to get hyped.
Well, first off, whenever we get our merch deal, we need a Zizzy shirt with the dog toy around the neck with the Husky hat says Huskies. Talk about it. Just big on the front. The Mickey Zizzy logo on the back. Like, merch company.
Yeah, I would buy 15
Boom.
just to
Get
entertain
your sister
myself.
on it.
Oh my gosh, let's go.
No, let's talk about UConn. Obviously they are the huge favorite going into it, and I love their coach. He is such a nitty-gritty guy. I was listening to another podcast talking about like how he coaches and some of the things he does. Like, wait, I do that. That's kind of cool. But I definitely said I liked him. I mean, I liked besides losing to Gonzaga, and obviously that game was a blowout. But that is a scary part. You talk about playing your best basketball. You beat Gonzaga, who is known to go to Elite Eights, right? They are known as one of the prestige basketball programs in the nation, and you blow them out by almost 30. Oh my soul, right? Yeah, 30. Absolutely bonkers. And Drew Timmy's over there, like the last minutes, he just goes up to a coach. Like they got beat so bad they didn't even want to cry. Like, that's
I mean,
they beat
when you're thinking, I mean, when you gotta think about it from a Drew Timmy perspective, right? Like if that's most likely his last college basketball game, correct? I don't think he comes back again. So that like when you think about college basketball, like a lot of us, like you think of your last game that you played. That's gonna be your lasting memory. Like that hurt. That hurts almost so bad that it's like, yeah, you're just drained of energy at that point. So I feel for them, but it's UConn coming out, like you said, the coach gets them together. I mean, Hawkins.
Yep.
We'll talk about the inspiration, the whole story behind everything between him and Dan Hurley, the coach. Like I absolutely love it. But to come out 20 points, put on a show, for them to have no game in the entire tournament where they have won by less than 15 points. It hasn't even been close, man. And now you're in a Final Four, which, no offense to these other three teams, they are fantastic teams. But when you talk about the grand scheme, the overall like competition, they've got to be the outright favorites. And you said it yourself. So I feel really good about them moving forward, even.
Yeah, that actually stuck past me, that stat. They did run through it. And look at the teams they played. They played St. Mary's. St. Mary's was a prestige club who a lot of people really liked as a sleeper. They went, crushed them by 25, right? Then they go play Arkansas. Arkansas's hot, right?
Arkansas played a great game.
Yeah, Arkansas they play great, and they went and demolished them in Gonzaga. Definitely, if you're a Miami fan, you really like. I've been hyping up Miami there, and actually my bracket too.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
I've been saying the U since last year. Like they're my Florida school. If I have to cheer for a Florida school, I'm cheering on the U. I got the Hurricane sweatshirt from I don't even know when I had it back in college. I think Trevor Green gave it to me. I'm like, oh, I'll rock it, and now like I wear it all the time. But like that matchup is going to be hard because Miami does play hard. They're very, very well coached. They definitely play for one another, and that matchup is a championship like matchup. I wish those two would have met in the finals. Like that would have been electric.
And I mean, and you had talked about when we came into the March Madness discussion, like the championship pedigree of the players, like the been there factor.
Isaiah Wong.
And I had said, sometimes I just don't think it'll carry over, whether it's the magic of the moment, whatever it is. But they go and they prove us all wrong, and now you're meeting like championship pedigree, been there before attitude against the class of the tournament, the cream of the crop right now. So I mean, it's going to be a matchup. It's going to be electric. Love to see a couple Florida schools in there. Shout out the Florida athletes, baby. Let's go. But yeah, it's just going to be a good one. I'm excited for it this weekend.
Now, I mean, we're kind of moving up and around the bracket, which is definitely
we're gonna
obviously that Texas game.
We're jumping around as much as the actual bracket.
For real. Texas was a dominant team. I mean, they were looking real strong. I know Terry, I think his name, Coach Terry, earned a 5-year deal, so that was awesome for him to do that. Definitely proved it, taking your team to the Elite Eight. But let's move up to that top side of that Final Four. FAU and San Diego State. What? 0.07 brackets had this Final Four. Like
I can't believe that people actually had this Final Four in general.
Right, you see that, you're like, there's no way. But we said it would be a crazy year. I said it, and I should have stuck with my gut. Like, we all knew because there was no outright favorite. But FAU and Yank, they're the villains, right? They did the 360 missed dunk, and people started talking. They're like, all right, these guys don't belong here. These guys shouldn't be here. And they go and keep on proving it. Or do they actually prove it? A 3-point win over Kansas State, right? Big, some questionable things down the stretch, right? FAU goes, beats Tennessee, which Tennessee was a high favorite, right? Rocky Top beat them by 7. Okay. They beat Dickinson by 8. Okay. Some questionable things on there. And then if you go back all the way to the first round, if I'm not mistaken, 1 point over Memphis. 1 point. And I know there are some questionable things. So when we say scraping by with wins, that's exactly what FA is doing. So the villain status versus the scraping by, like they're no UConn blowing teams out of the water. They're legit by the skin of their teeth, by the leather on the basketball. I think they're made out of leather.
But there's a few things that you gotta point out when you like that. I just really like about them, whether they're the villain, whether you like them as like the bad boys type of
they
attitude.
are the bad boys.
Yeah, I mean, whether you like it, whether you want to look at it or not, just from that standpoint, like these guys are talented and they play together as a team. They're third. You don't go 33-3 in general. I don't care what conference you're in. 33-3, that's hard to do in basketball. We've talked about how the ball bounces both ways, like just as quickly as it does. Like it's hard to be that consistent. Plus, these guys are a little bit older. They've been around each other. They've been teammates for a few years. And we talked about, is that going to be a factor in some of these games? I was preaching about the team that had a 23-year-old average. Okay. Like I know that I feel like that has an effect on
23
things too. So you have all that going for you. The Kansas State head coach, Jerome Tang, bless his soul, comes over, shows so much class, but literally tells them these guys are the toughest team that they played all year. And they're playing against the cream of the crop. So he comes over, congratulates you, tells you how hard it is to play against this team, how consistent, how together they play. Togetherness is everything in this sport. It makes you feel for them. Oh,
I don't want to go with it. Yes, they are playing with, and they are very talented. So I'm not like disagreeing, but that's the thing about college basketball is this is all best of the best, right? Transfer portal, you're going here, you're going there. It is the best of the best in the D1, right? It is the straight up dogs, straight from high school, all this and that. And dudes who can get buckets and play defense and some of the best athletes, right? I will give it to you. The 33-3 does look nice. 100% it does, right? But on the flip side, I do think they got lucky a lot of these times. We definitely say that. But hey, a win's a win, right? You're never.
I mean, I'll give you that. When you bring up the scraping by effect, it's the kind of how I said at the beginning of the podcast. It's like you're not expected to like when you're. I got tongue tie myself, but you can't scrape by and expect that if you're gonna have a 7-game series, it would most likely not be that way. They would end up being the losing team. They probably get beat 4-1, 4-2 in a series or something like that. But that's the beauty of how they do March Madness. It's one game, whether you scrape by or not, you get that
still
shot.
Counts, right?
And to consistently do that, and I do love, they may not be the most talented, but they play very scrappy. The offensive rebounds, the defensive double teams, they use them very well, and they're very capable of that. And their big guy down low, I have to look up his name because, like I said, they're not the most well-known team, but he's been an absolute menace on the boards and has absolutely kind of catapulted them to the last couple W's. So they're an interesting team to watch. I don't know who I would pick to win this game. I kind of like FAU here just because it's a lower seeded matchup. We got our highest seed in this Final Four is a 4. Like, so I mean, it's a whole different year. You're totally right.
It is, and I am kind of talking a little bit of beef about FAU, the Owls there, and at the end of the day, I want to be rooting for them. Represent. I am going to be rooting for them. I am going to want to see them to go. I love the whole bad boy vibe, right? That's who they are. That they've embraced it, right? You talk about the grit and just the overall, like every ball is mine, like no matter how talented, right? A lot of these teams are maybe more talented, better shooters, right? But you ain't going to out hustle us. Not going to out rebound us because we're going to put our bodies on the line, play together, believe in one another. While some people, like the Purdue, right? You all believed in Zach Edey, right? They didn't really play together, help each other out. And I'm not trying to bash Purdue that much, but like there's the difference between those two teams. And on the flip side, let's talk about San Diego State. Still have no faith. And they've proved again that they are that team. I have them losing to FAU just because, like, I don't want to see San Diego State.
Yeah, I mean, your call out of them is pretty, like,
Worst take of the year.
I can't. Do they have a curse? Are they cursed?
Who?
Purdue.
I think so. But like for San Diego State to go, toe to toe with some of these groups, like in the Sweet 16, right? They went and beat Bama. China was all tough. Oh, this is our year, right?
Had them in my Final Four too.
Everyone did. I mean, I did. I was scared of them. I was so scared to see that and hear all the chirping, right? From down across the way there. But San Diego State's goes beat them. They beat a Creighton team who, if they would have made it to the Final Four, I'm picking them to win it all, right? They've always been such a good basketball team. They have news. They are very, very, very well coached. San Diego State gets it by one. I know there's that last foul. Shouldn't have called it debacle. I think it was in that game.
Which I would love to dive into. And
that's what we're kind of like going into. And as a basketball referee, right? Sometimes just because it's a big moment, can't swallow your whistle. I know I'm a big believer in that. You got to call it as you see it. But I would love to hear your take.
You can't in that situation. I mean, you can if you're going to call the whole game that way. Like it's the way you set it. I feel like you referee games. You tell me, do you set a precedent? Or is there do you consistently call it from if you start calling something in the beginning of the game, are you going to consistently call it that way the whole game? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, let some things fly if it doesn't affect the game.
Well, I understand that, but if that game wasn't tied, I would say okay, I get it. If they're down one, you got to give them the foul. But it's a tie ball game, regardless. If he misses that shot, worst case scenario, they're going to play another 5 minutes. They're going to get more time to actually play it out. And I know that you can come back as a referee and be but a foul is a foul. They're trained to make that call. Well, you're also trained to not decide the game.
So why not decide? So why decide it and not call it? Oh, they got 5 more minutes. If I miss this call, they got 5 more minutes to play.
Because 5 more minutes of them playing would at least be a more fair alternative.
It at least the referee deciding the game.
What?
The referee is saying that's not if he's calling the game, right? Making, dictating where the game goes. Oh, they got 5 more minutes. They'll play 5 more minutes.
That's on the players then. That's a game.
You just said referees can't dictate the game, right? Or have that.
No, I'm saying, well, I mean, it's hard to I bring it back to the foul calling just in general, right? When you look at the other games in comparison in that Elite Eight matchup, this game had 22 fouls total, 22 fouls called. The other games were 30, 37, 39, 40. You're already setting a precedent that you're going to let them
playing good defense.
You're not making that call. Yeah, and that's fine. But we all watched the game. They were hand checking. It was a physical game. And then when you're going up for a shot and it's a controversial call. If it's a blatant foul, you have to call it. If it's LeBron James against the Celtics getting smacked in the face,
that don't get called. That don't get called.
But here, it's I don't even know if it's really.
But once again, Mr. Zizzy, we had this in the Super Bowl, right? That is
we agreed about it more in the Super Bowl.
Okay, he had his on the hip, right? Altercated the shot, which is fine, right? If he would have shot, it would have hit his arm, right? Smacked it. That's still a foul.
Yeah, but we talked about the Super Bowl one, and I actually agreed with you there, saying that the referee should make that call as is. But that was actually that's more blatant of a foul, of a penalty. And then 2, I've also been as the defender, you already know that you're going to be made out to make those penalties. You have to take the extra precautions to avoid that. Wear the gloves that match the jersey. Do the little things. So that was on him a little bit more. This one, he maybe nudged his hip, man. Gave him a little.
With the hand there. Just a hand check. Moved him a little bit.
I was come on. It's a tie game. 56-56. It is a 1-game elimination tournament. At least let them play 5 more minutes.
Let's see why let them play 5 more minutes.
Because then it is.
So last 10 seconds, hey. all out, do whatever because we're going to overtime no matter what. Buffalo Wild Wings hit their button.
No, I'm not saying no because that breaks my whole argument of like if it's a blatant foul, like obviously you call that. If it's a foul that everyone sees, can totally like distinguish, I get it, but it was because it's a on the edge foul call when you've allowed all the hand checking for it to be a physical game. When you've called a minimum number of fouls throughout the game to that point, you've now set a precedent. He didn't chuck the guy in the lane. He gave him a little nudge, a tiny.
See,
tiny little,
I'm trying to back up my fellow basketball referees. We know how it's
I
a
know.
hard life out there. So I'm definitely still sticking with them, no matter what you say. I don't care about.
Mickey's like, hey, everybody. I don't want anybody to say anything. Mickey's the guy that'll throw you out of the game. He's ejecting you.
Move. No. And don't get me wrong. I mean, this is off topic, but like some of those tees are kind of crazy, right? That's when I don't agree with referees. Right when they're staring them down, like that's part of sports. If they're chirping back at the crowd, like let them, as long as it's not saying vulgar things, right? Yeah. Super really bad things.
And I understand like showing up the referee, like when they show up, when someone shows up the referee or like comes back verbally to a referee, like, yeah, you should be teched because it's the ref. At the end of the day, it's the ref.
Coming at the ref, sure. Like you can say, what? Come on. Like that's fine, but like continuing it.
Yeah.
Questionable. Or there's sometimes where refs will like stare them down. Like, I just dunked on you and I'm staring at you, they'll tee you up for that. I'm like, are you joking? Like that's a competitive edge. That's
play the game.
And I'll be all about just referees. Now we're getting to the reffing of all basketball.
No, I knew it was gonna come up, but it was just it's tough, and it's always gonna be a question. And you hate seeing a referee get put in that position because it's like, okay, you're trained and trained and trained. This is a foul. This is a foul. This is a foul. I can't. So I really don't blame him personally. It's just there's got to be some type of way to where we incorporate, whether you think it's right or wrong. I think that there's got to be some type of incorporation of the situation, of the circumstance, when it gets towards the deciding factor of a tied ball game or something like that. Like, who does anyone enjoy watching a game end on a foul or a free throw?
I understand every single person is sitting at Buffalo Wings overtime, right? You're sitting at home like, bring it on, right? Everyone loves free basketball, but we like fair basketball. We like games that are called correctly.
All right.
And all be all right. Now, as we side from controversial foul call, it is just nice to see, Mr. Zizzy, that Houston was frauds. I just want to add that to my case of the year. Miami took them down in the Sweet 16. I thought they were going to go one round earlier. Okay, I did apologize for that. I did not make it.
But that was probably one of your hotter takes out of the tournament. It was like, ooh, 32.
Yeah, so definitely not out in 32. But I mean, Sasser only had 14 that game, and it's Miami who's just hot right now. They're the season team. They are a team to beat. Like I said, I really want Miami UConn in the championship. Like I'm going to treat this Final Four matchup as a championship like matchup. So I was just happy to see them go because all year I wasn't buying it, not buying a stock at all. But Zizzy, do you think that Miami is this legit team to do it?
100%. I mean, we talk about the I've already talked about the championship pedigree, the been there factor. I mean, when you're coming in, it's all about confidence and continuing like a hot streak. If you can continue to play with that, they have speed and they have playmaking ability, especially from the point guard position. I think it's going to be a great matchup. And then you also got to love the whole like storyline, right? Like they're the team that has the men's and the women's basketball team in the Final Four. Like they're out there balling, right? Can Miami go and get themselves a double championship? You kind of like the story, man. I like it.
And obviously, Miami did lose in the women's game. They did not shoot well at all to LSU. I did watch that game. But any other kind of huge matchups? Obviously, we talked all about the storylines and how crazy and big It was, but like that's the enjoyable part. I remember on that first Thursday, I sat down and watched basketball the entire day, and I did not feel bad about myself. Well, I did because it lost, but you know what I'm saying. Um, but that's like the glory and the greatness of March Madness that we get to talk about these matchups, watch these student athletes perform on the biggest stages, and make memories for a lifetime for a lot of these cats. So let's talk a little predictions of the Final Four, and then we'll flip to a few other things and call this a day. All right. So, Mr. Zizzy, who do you have going to the championship?
I mean, when we're talking about the Final Four, obviously, I've been hyping up UConn, so I think I'm not gonna change it now. We're sticking with them. So I do have UConn beat Miami, which it hurts the soul as a Florida resident. It hurts the soul a little bit, but I do have them moving on. I like I said, you love to see like just a special relationship between a coach and his players in general. Like I don't know if anyone's watched the show Ted Lasso, but like I fall in love with that. But anyway, when I watched Dan Hurley and his relationship with his players, but I mean especially everyone highlights the relationship with Hawkins, but it's something special to watch when people want to play for their coach. They'll come out and play even harder. I mean, they double digits every single game. They're playing their strategies to a T. They're executing the game plan. It's been beautiful basketball. I mean, everything's the extra pass. Every shot is typically pretty wide open. It's been great to watch through these first 3-4 rounds of the tournament, and I expect that to continue even against a hot Miami team.
Obviously. I mean, you know me, big stats guy. It is so hard to go against the stats of UConn right now. Kind of want to curse you and say I'll make you a T-shirt with the big old Zizzy head with the shark thing or the dog.
I mean, I mean that shirt just sounds incredible.
So, it does.
Now that you mentioned it, I probably got to do it regardless.
Maybe it's an early birthday present if the Huskies win, but the Huskies got to do it. I'm not going to put a curse. I'm not putting it out there in the podcast realm there. This game is going to be absolutely electric, and I'm going to go with the seasons, guys. I'm going to stick it out with Miami, the U, put it to it. I'm going to believe in Isaiah Wong and that team. They're playing very, very good basketball. They've been there before. They want to win. They want to be on the other side of that losing like they did a year ago. I know that's a lot of things that they were talking about it. And their team can just score points. I mean, they're absolutely crazy good. As I'm looking at that stat chart, every one of the starters had over 10 points. So, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're talking about Omir, Poplar, Pack, like all of them are scoring the basketball. And that doesn't even get to, I mean, their star, Jordan Miller. He's been playing some pretty crazy basketball as I'm looking back at it. And he's balling in the tournament. And UConn's going to have to play defense. But, Yank, thing about UConn, they can score the basketball just as well. Yeah, so this is going to be a scoring fest.
And you got what? It's like 80 points per game versus like 78. Yeah, something like 80 versus 79 or something like that. So I mean, they can get out and score. For me, I think UConn's a better rebounding team. So I mean, if anything, that gives them a slight advantage.
But if the ball goes in the net, you don't need a rebound.
Yeah. Not wrong. I also will think about when you talk about at least within this tournament, right? The thing that will scare me is I think Miami's had a tougher road to get here. I will say that UConn has played Arkansas. Yeah, they played St. Mary's, and obviously we know Gonzaga. To me, that's the toughest team that they played of the three, and they beat that team by 30. So that says enough. But Miami had to beat Houston and followed it up with Texas.
And played Indiana before.
And I mean, and Indiana, we all know is the college basketball mecca when we talk about that. I mean, Hoosiers, come on now. So I will say that does worry me because if there's a David and Goliath story, they've been the David every time.
And here we are again. They are the David.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, let's be honest. UConn's got to be the favorite against anybody if we're talking about matchups in this tournament. in the remaining Final Four. They're the favorite. I'm not saying you pick them to win, but they are going to be acknowledged as the favorite.
Mr. Zizzy, I'm very honest on this show, and those stats are just so hard to go away from. And it comes with a hard heart, but I'm going to go with the Miami Hurricanes. With the upset.
It's all about you.
This will be an ESPN 30 for 30 about the squad going through a hot UConn team, the 1 seed, the 2 seed, the 4 seed. They beat them all. So we'll obviously see. I'm a little nervous about that take. I'm acknowledging it now. Obviously going against some of my thoughts about statistics, but let's talk about FAU and Diego State. I already hinted at it, Yank. I'm going FAU. Hoot hoot. Like let's
go. Hey, represent hooty hoot.
I just want the bad boys to win. And like I said, I've had San Diego losing from the round of 64. So I need them to finally lose because they go win the title. That will be the worst take for this year for me. But they are just playing with the passion and all together, like we've already been highlighting and unpackaging here on this episode. So I mean, I'm going with the vibe of the episode and having FAU win. FAU Hurricane matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go FAU here as well. I said I kind of like the fact that they draw San Diego State in the matchup out of the four remaining teams. I feel like, I mean, it's the best thing they could have asked for. I mean, you're talking about FAU being this older powerhouse team that only has 3 losses on the entire season. Yeah, San Diego State only has 6, but we're talking about like the size inside, the being able to play scrappy defense and play with pace. Like it's a better matchup for them. They average way more. I mean, they're just a faster pace offense. I mean, 80 points per game compared to, I think San Diego State's around 70. So, I mean, that's a 10-point differential. That tells you enough when you're talking transition game. I want to believe that a Florida team's got to make it. So I'm going to go with
There's
FAU
your Florida.
here
You're
as well.
back on it.
Hey, get Florida in there for that one. And plus, we're going to represent the Owls real quick.
And we've talked about like San Diego State had a hard way to get there, right? They played Bama. They played Creighton. They've had to go through. Sorry, I was double checking that last matchup. Furman, which really wasn't. We saw that coming from a mile away that San Diego State was going to win. But FAU, they went through Kansas State. They went through Tennessee, so they definitely have played some of those teams, and this is definitely the quote-unquote easier team they have to play. Right? If they play anything like they did against Kansas State, they're going to beat San Diego State. Right? But if they play like they did against Memphis in the very beginning.
So I have a 9 seed in the championship game. That's a thought that is crazy.
March Madness in a nutshell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
and then from there, if you want to go, obviously I'm taking UConn all the way. So I gotta go. If it's UConn FAU, I'm gonna take.
I know
UConn.
I'm gonna go Hurricanes. I'm going Miami. So whoever wins this game, Miami versus UConn, is the champions in my eyes for sure. And
we're in agreement somewhere.
And I'm going to be rooting for UConn if they make the championship. You know what? I'll be rooting for you. You called it. You were so good at choosing champions.
Let's go.
Dumb. So I need you to start calling my name for some of these events. Because like the Super Bowls. I think this is the first Super Bowl you had that didn't get predicted on this show. Very good.
Pretty upset about it actually too. They lost to lose in the first round of the playoffs. Was pretty heartbreaking.
I know that doesn't look good on your track record.
No, right? I was just like, damn, man, give me some love.
No, but before we shut this episode down, once again, thanks to Pinnacle Supplementation and G43. Go check them out. They are very, very close friends to podcast. And I've been seeing some potential merch dropping for G43, joining the merch gang. Super, super exciting there. But let's talk about Pinnacle and how they are sponsoring the Mickey Zizzy podcast March Madness bracket, sponsored by Pinnacle Supplementation. Go reach your Pinnacle. I know I was using it last night for my protein powder, and they came out with chocolate protein powder. Y'all go out and get it. That's my favorite flavor in general. Like, give me a candy bar. Delicioso. But let's talk about this matchup. Mr. Zizzy, I've made the top 5. My second bracket is 5th, no matter what. I am stuck there, glued there. So, I made the dance. I was in the Elite 8. Elite 8 buyout. But let's talk about these 4 and Yank. you max points, you could win it all with 1,000 points because
I'm very excited.
Are your champions. So I think if the Huskies win, that should prevail you to first, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Because
that's all because it's all I've been relying on since like this Sweet 16. I was just like, okay, UConn's playing well, everything else is falling apart, but nobody else has UConn as a champion. So if they make it there, it's got to be the one. It's got to be the one.
Yeah, after further review, so Logan Lear, my good friend, I coach with him over at Davenport West. He does have 10 more points than you, and he has UConn going to the championship but losing. So for you to
they gotta win the ship.
They have to win the ship for you to win this year's March Madness.
Okay.
Come
on, Huskies.
If they do win, and whoever White Sauce has Alabama. I have no clue who White Sauce is, so I cannot promote them here. They do have about a 50-point lead on you, so you'll jump over both of those two if the Huskies do win. And actually over all of them. Sorry, I should have done my math here before. Stone Creek Monkey. So Mr. Monkey is in the lead by 90 points on you, Mr. Zizzy. So they all have UConn going to the finale. You need the Huskies to win. We are all rooting for the Huskies.
It's in the right hands. Let's go.
It is.
Hey, we live to beat the fans. I'm sorry, guys. We're here for this.
Yeah, you see that trophy? It's right there.
Hey, it's back there. There's a plaque somewhere.
Wow, don't even know. So yeah, there's your final 5 for the March Madness. Thank you again, everyone who's playing. Like we said, we like getting the fans involved, talking about those people and beating them in set events, right? These are all fun, office games that you can do with the March Madness brackets, right? Do this with whoever your coworkers are or other close friends. Otherwise, anything else?
No, it's kind of crazy how fast it flies by. Like I know we were gone for a week, but you're just like just talking about the round of 64. It's the final 4. Like holy heck! But I just absolute madness, pandemonium. I'm just like don't get too excited watching these games and like jump out of the couch and like hurt myself or something. I'm getting old after this past weekend. So outside of that.
No, you know what? Go Huskies, go Hurricanes, whatever team does prevail. And it's just be fun watching. I know we briefly talked about it, but go Hawks. They're in the Final 4 for the women's. Caitlin Clark is the player of the year.
Right. If we can pause it, I know you mentioned it in the beginning, but like nobody has ever done that. 40-point triple-double.
30-point triple-double.
No man, no woman had ever done it before her. Shout out Caitlin Clark. She is the female Steph Curry of college basketball. I mean, she is Caitlin Clark. She is unprecedented. She is fantastic. There's not enough positive that you can say about what she has done for her career and the attention that she is bringing women's basketball as well. It's gonna be incredible. But she is about to light up the league because the WNBA, she's coming.
We will talk about that in another episode, but I really hope she stays one more year just for like financial, and for the overall better crowds and whatnot. But go Hawks, hot take. Hawks are beating South Carolina this Friday. Let's go Hawks. Let's go Hawks.
Let's go Hawks, baby. All righty. If you're talking sports, it's the matchup. Mickey here with Zizzy. Yeah, we're cutting it up. Just a couple athletic enthusiasts. You know what it is. The Mickey Zizzy Podcast. Have a great night, everybody. Peace.